watching Cleveland's own WJW Television. 8 is news.
The city that has embraced this Cleveland Browns team for so many years does so for what could be the last time. Players and fans share a final victory at Cleveland Stadium.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lisa Goff in for Lori Jennings.
And I'm Wayne Dawson. The final gun has sounded. The game is over. But is it the end of a long tradition here in Cleveland?
That's the way it looks right now, but depending, of course, on how the effort goes to keep the Browns, today's game will possibly be the last one the Browns play at the stadium.
Lisa, if Art Modell has his way, the Browns will be playing next season in the city of Baltimore. Tonight we have team coverage, beginning with Channel 8 News reporter Ray Harris, who joins us live now from Cleveland Stadium. Ray, tell me, what was it like when the gun sounded and the game was over today?
Well, Wayne, I can tell you this. It's quiet now compared to just a short time ago. Fourth quarter, the clock trickling down the last few seconds between the Browns and the Bengals. That's when the fans started expressing their emotions, and they expressed them in many different ways.
For some, it was too much to bear.
You leave a lot of memories there, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, really sad to see him go. Just don't even know how to react.
Some knew exactly what they wanted to do. Seats that have been in place since 1931 were torn out and taken home for mementos.
That's promotional.
Today's ticket also served as a souvenir. When fans headed through the turnstile, the final game tickets were embossed with the date and handed back to the fans. Browns fans tell us their discomfort comes from the team owner, Art Modell.
It hurts. The guys ripped my heart out. But you know what? We'll get another team and we'll go to the Super Bowl before Art Modell does. C3-4, Section 11, Row 2.
It was a good game, and I'm glad I came. But the fans are upset, and I can understand why. But destroying the property and stuff, I don't think that's the right thing to do. But I hope it does return because this city is really dedicated.
The last game is over. Now the fans are putting their trust into city leaders and the owners of the NFL, hoping that they block the proposed move to Baltimore.
Meanwhile, fans like Jack Helms will sit and wait with a heavy burden on his heart.
It's something that really is heartfelt. It's really inside. And
The game's been over for almost an hour now, but you're still here.
it's been that long. I don't want to leave. I just look around. I'm on my way out now, but I know that this is the last time I'll be back.
That Browns fan and his family have been season ticket holders since 1952. Like many other season ticket holders and Browns fans that have come to the games, not only from Cleveland, but around the nation and around the world, they will indeed miss the Browns if they indeed move to Baltimore. One key issue that comes about from talking to fans throughout the evening, Wayne, and they tell me they're not upset with the team. They're upset with the man that signs their paycheck.
Yeah, I got that same feeling today. I tell you what, Ray, you know that scene at the Dog Pound when the game was over, when the fans embraced the players like they did? It really touched me. It really did.
I think we're going to be seeing that video over and over on all the network stations over the next few weeks.
Okay, thank you very much for that report.
Well, a lot of people were sad to leave, but before they left tonight, the fans got exactly what they wanted, a win against the Bengals in the last home game in Cleveland Stadium. And the beefed-up security staff at today's game got what they wanted as well, minimal damage done by a relatively well-behaved crowd.
I'm going to put this down in my basement, a new bar and building. It's going to be the Municipal Stadium Shrine, basically, is what it is. It's going to be a lot of Browns memorabilia and a lot of years of rich history involved. It's a sad thing. It's a sad day today.
At last check, police say more than 50 people have been arrested on various charges, including vandalism and public drunkenness. Well, today's game, of course, was an emotional one for the players and the fans, and it's hard for many people to believe the stadium may stay dark next year. As Channel 8 News reporter Valerie First tells us, thousands of fans are still hoping this does not mean the end of pro football in Cleveland.
A couple of brews, a souvenir vendor,
Browns hot! Browns hot!
The traditional Browns battle cry. It was just like the usual home game tailgates, only it really wasn't the same.
It's a very sad day for the city of Cleveland and the great people that live here.
For these fans, the pregame festivities were filled with nostalgia.
Watching a Jets-Cleveland game and seeing a young 23-year-old Bernie Kosar bring our team back from unbelievable circumstances. Being a part of the Dog Pound since the inception is something will always be special with me. Jimmy Brown, Jim Grainer, hey, I go way back, you know?
Instead of the usual talk about winning the game, their thoughts were on losing a team.
Will I ever be back here again? 17 years of coming down here, and it's hard to say. It's really hard to say.
There's no way we're going to get another team in Cleveland. Not that one that could replace the Browns.
It's not over! It's not over! It's not over! It's not over!
But up the street at a Save Our Browns rally in Huntington Park, thousands of fans and Mayor Mike White made it clear the Browns won't leave without a fight.
We have shown that we won't let anyone kick us in our teeth, knock us down, and then we smile and act like we like it. And I'm so proud of all of you.
This rally was a Browns Love Fest, Art Modell Hate Fest, complete with signs, former Browns players, and fans like Barb Madigan from Australia. She probably wins the prize for traveling the farthest for today's game.
The prize is to keep the Browns in Cleveland. It's worth it. I'll give it back to the city.
And we'd take it. Valerie First, Ada's News in Cleveland.
The Save Our Browns organization also used today's rally to introduce a special videotape featuring interviews with former Browns greats like Dante Lavelli, Greg Pruitt, and Jim Houston.
Well, today's game wasn't just a big story here in Cleveland. It was a big story nationwide. The Browns were in the national spotlight as media from all over the country converged on Cleveland Stadium for the end of an era. Outside, satellite trucks were lined up around the stadium, and on the inside, TV networks like ESPN, NBC, CNN, and Fox lined the sidelines. Despite all the coverage, fans in Baltimore didn't get a chance to see the game today because their NBC affiliate didn't air it. So where do we stand now? The city of Cleveland and Art Modell will tackle each other once again in court next year. Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Judge Kenneth Callahan has set a February 12th trial date for the city's lawsuit against the Browns. Now, the judge has granted a preliminary injunction. He did that last month, temporarily blocking the team's move to Baltimore. The February trial date is not expected to affect the vote of the owners, scheduled for January 17th down in Atlanta.
For so many of us, the stadium holds some treasured memories. Some of you maybe saw your first football game there. Maybe some of you have season's tickets that have been passed down through the generations. Well, whatever your memories are, we invite you to come along and relive some of your favorite times with us tonight in our half-hour special called Stadium Stories. Stay with us right after the news for a nostalgic look at the football tradition right here in Cleveland.
Yes, it should be a wonderful show.
Oh, yeah, we've got some really good stories coming up. Definitely want to stay tuned.
We're working hard on it. And we'll have all the Browns game-winning highlights coming up a bit later in sports. But first, after searching for weeks, a clue in last month's deadly Lake Erie plane crash has now been found.
Plus, here we go again. It looks like shutdown number 2 for the federal government. Find out how it affects you. That's next.
Well, it's, you know, a sad day for Cleveland.
I mean, it's our last chance to see our beloved Browns, and, you know, we love them, and it's just, it was a great game. We cheered our hardest throughout the whole game.
Yeah, we've been fans for 18, 19 years. It's like really sad to see them go. I don't even know how to react. I'm pretty sure we will.
Not quite a holiday here on the North Coast. As a matter of fact, it was somewhat of a sad day down at the stadium today for those who are a little saddened by losing the Browns, myself being one of them.
Likewise as well, but nonetheless, they sent the folks home happy with a little bit of offense. Hey, it's nice to see some touchdowns at Cleveland Stadium. Yes, indeed. When we come back, we'll highlight the Browns, and we'll talk to some of the guys like Ernest Biner and company. Stay right there. Cleveland Stadium, the forum today for all kinds of feelings as the Browns fans gather to say goodbye, perhaps for the final time, to the Cleveland Browns. And by the way, folks, perhaps the final battle of Ohio at the stadium today. The Browns put all those distractions and all those rumors behind them, and they went out and they whooped those Bengals for the 7th straight time. It's nice to talk football. 26-10 the final. The dog pound, of course, packed, and as they say, thanks for the memories, and the Browns try to give them some. Vinny, first quarter to Michael Jackson. He had 3 catches, 61 yards on the day. Then, ageless man, Ernest Biner gets the 13-yarder right there. He had 121 on the day. All setting up this second quarter touchdown to Frank Hartley, and the Browns were leading 7-zip. But after exchanging field goals to make it 10-3, the Browns defense stops the Bengals, and the special teams and Rob Burnett combined to block the short field goal try. Less than 2 minutes and a half in the first. Vinny hits the thriller for 32. Vinny 22 for 32 for 241 yards on the day, and the touchdown there to McCardle. Then Matt Stover kicked 3 field goals in the second half. He now has a team record 29. The dog pound took home some souvenirs, and we talked to Brian Brennan about the last game at the stadium.
If the team does leave, hopefully we get a new team here within, a couple years or even within the year. I know the NFL is committed to that, and, but today I don't want to talk about that. I'm just sad, really sad.
But after the game, several of the players went to the pound to thank them for their loving support, and Ernest Biner took a final lap to thank all the fans.
We've been around sports a long time, and I don't think I've had the amount of goosebumps just watching you take that victory lap, if you will, or the lap of thanks to these fans here. What was it like?
Well, it's a lot of memories here. A lot of times I won't forget. Got a few chills myself, seeing the different faces, the reality of this, this possibly being the last game. A lot of people's emotions showing, some gratitude, some sorrow. We saw a few tears. So it's a happy time, but it's a tough time. We won, played a good game. We'll leave Cleveland Stadium as a winner, but it's sad because we're moving, and the fans are losing a good franchise and a legacy.
It's just great that the fans stood behind us the way they did today, and they showed the NFL how bad they want an NFL franchise here, and preferably they want the Browns that's here now.
It was just a way to show appreciation, and I think they realized it was a sincere effort on our part to say thanks for your support, even when we're not doing well, and that was all that's what it was about.
And, of course, much more on Stadium Stories in a few moments. Now to the Cavaliers. The Denver Nuggets lost their first 6 games of the season. The Cavaliers lost their first 7. Amazingly, both teams turned it around and were at the gun tonight to even their records at 11-11. Would it be the Cavaliers? I think it would, thanks to Dan Marley. He would not let the Cavaliers down. Drains the 3, breaks a 22-all tie. In the second, Bobby Phil's jumper's off. Dan the man follows with the slam, and the Cavaliers up by 7. Then the Nuggets leave him open. Big mistake. Marley scoring 18 in the first half. Cavaliers led by 14. The Nuggets made a mini comeback in the fourth. Jalen Rose, nice pass to Don McClain. He gets the hoop and foul. He had 26 on the day, but too much Terrell in the fourth for Denver. Toasting Woods gets the easy hoop. And the Cavaliers win 92-79 to even up 11 wins and 11 losses. And just a few moments, of course, at 11:15 tonight, we will have the Sunday Night Sports page, those Stadium Stories program. That's coming along in just a few moments. But after Stadium Stories, the sports page, we will take your phone calls and a lot of memories about Cleveland Stadium and particularly the Browns.
A lot of things to talk about.
You bet.
Okay, thank you, sir. It is no secret Art Modell is a very unpopular man in Cleveland these days.
Stay tuned to find out how Browns fans took their anger to new heights. That's next.
Sentiment of fans here in Cleveland.
Oh, they're in it to the end,
No question about it. Tell you what, before today's final game at Cleveland Stadium, Browns fans got one more chance to show their love for Browns owners Art and David Modell and Coach Bill Belichick. Life-size dummies of the trio were hung in effigy outside the 3WE radio studios at high noon, much to the delight of dozens of fans who looked on. 3WE personalities Jeff and Flash hosted this afternoon's event.
Tomorrow morning in the 7 o'clock hour of 8's News in the Morning, our traveling man Neil Zerker is off on another wake-up one-tank trip. This week, Neil will be visiting the town of Marblehead, Ohio, where we'll meet a painter whose lakeside works are becoming collectibles around the world. Thank you for sharing part of your evening with us.
And stay tuned to Channel 8 for our special stadium stories next, followed by Sunday Sports Page.
From all of us here at Channel 8 News, have a good night.
Good night, everyone. See you next weekend.
Save our Browns! Save our Browns! Save our Browns!
Get rid of Modell! Keep the Browns!
8 is news. The following is a special presentation.
There's a lot of memories in that Cleveland Stadium. It was just unbelievable to walk into Cleveland Stadium.
Cleveland Stadium is a throwback to the past.
If the walls of this stadium could only talk.
The Municipal Stadium has never seen a sight like this.
Legends have played on this field.
Otto Graham and Lou Groza, Dante Lavelli.
A young quarterback today threw for 489 yards.
Season after season, lifelong friendships have endured.
I'm going to the last game, and he said, Chief, we better go together. We went to the first.
Football's most famous fan club was born here.
And I started barking at those guys. I just can't tell you how many games that dog pound has helped us win.
Clevelanders remember.
He used to take me down to these games all the time and tell me, this is, your grandfather built this place. And every day I go by it, I think to myself, my dad played there.
And coming up next on Channel 8.
If you volunteer to shovel the snow off the field, you got a free ticket to go. It was for the championship game.
The stadium stories you will never forget. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Tim Taylor. Today sadly marks the end of an era, not just for Cleveland football fans, but for fans across America. Because for all of us, the Browns and the NFL are synonymous, forever bound together by tradition and love. You can't take the Browns out of Cleveland any more than you can delete from our memories the heroics of Graham, Groza, Lavelli, and Motley, Jim Brown and Leroy Kelly, the heartbreaks of Red Right 88, the drive and the fumble. The Browns have been as much a part of the fabric of our lives here as Lake Erie, the Terminal Tower, and Chief Wahoo. Over the years, this stadium has brought a lot of people together, and since it's so much a part of our lives, tonight we want to share with you stadium stories. Best friends Leonard Gibble and Dick Ziska have been fans of the Cleveland Browns ever since that first quarter. Not quarter as in 15 minutes of game time, but quarter as in 2 bits. The price of admission to that first home game 49 years ago.
Well, actually, we were 9 years old or 8 at the time, and what could be bigger than a boy's life than pro football? And I guess it was well publicized, and there was a coupon in the paper that it was, what was it, 50 cents but 25 cents off. Was it a good game?
Remember the Browns killed them. The paper said, the article I saw here said 46-0. I thought it was worse than that.
But if you're a kid, you're rooting for your team, so you'd like it to be 100-0. You didn't know anything about mercy yet.
Through the decades that followed, a lot changed in their lives. Graduation, marriage, kids, but not their love of the Browns and their memories. Like that big snowstorm.
If you volunteer to shovel the snow off the field, you got a free ticket to go. It was for the championship game. I don't remember what year that was.
And that time the Browns beat the Rams in the early 50s to win it all.
We just had no choice but to jump off the top of the bleachers to run on the field. And that was a big jump for a little kid. But we did it.
There are no plans to jump on the field today, only just to be here.
In fact, we were driving together, and I says, I'm going to the last game. And he said, Chief, we better go together. We went to the first.
49 years ago, Leonard and Dick spent a quarter, as in 25 cents, to watch it all begin. Now here they are, preparing to spend their last quarter, as in 15 minutes, watching it all come to an end.
He was off on one of the many...
In between that first and last Browns game,
it was just unbelievable to walk into Cleveland Stadium.
Stadium fans watched many talented athletes grow into legends.
Championship.
Looking back on Cleveland's football giants when Stadium Stories continues. 8 is news
Art Modell, a man of his word.
I cannot bring back the past. We all make mistakes. We all do things that we wish we didn't do. I don't need the money. A man that had understanding and compassion and always told with the truth.
You be the judge on the next Sunday Sports Page, Sunday night at 11 on Channel 8.
8 is news.
The Cleveland Stadium is a throwback to the past. The skies turn gray, you know, and there's that smell in the air of autumn. That's football to me. It's not playing indoors.
Dick Ambrose was a ferocious middle linebacker for the Browns.
I got to experience a lot of what a lot of other people would give their left arm for.
He played 10 years in Cleveland.
A red spot right, halfback, say 88.
And would have given his left arm for a completed pass on red right 88.
Right there, right in that corner, right there, that's the thing I remember the most.
Yeah. I could only remember Lyle Alzado's reaction when Brian went back to throw the ball. Lyle just said, I can't believe they're throwing the ball.
How does this feel?
He hasn't walked in the clubhouse tunnel in years.
Ah, boy, that feels good.
Do you guys have to wait in line to take a shower?
Yeah, sometimes. There's better facilities, obviously. And even this is an upgrade from what it used to be. I mean, I don't even think there were that many shower heads in there before. It used to be hardly any water pressure either.
Sam make any phenomenal speech here?
One of our team physicians, Dr. Greenbaum, actually died in the locker room before the game. And, you know, everybody on the team knew it. And Sam had to obviously, you know, confront that in his pre-game talk. And whatever he said, which again is why I can't remember the specifics, it didn't work because we went out and lost that day.
This was just before it was all constructed. They found a body at second base.
Dead bodies weren't in the original stadium blueprints.
My dad, he ran this whole thing.
Bill Shermer was 12 years old when his father and uncle's construction company built Cleveland Stadium.
Baseball and football were planned for the stadium originally.
Bill Shermer Jr. is the third generation of the Shermer Construction Company.
24 bathrooms for each sex. 24 male, 24 female. Wasn't enough.
No lights.
There were no lights. Lights came as an afterthought. After the stadium was actually being constructed, did they come up with the idea of putting lights in.
This is part of your heritage, being a Shermer. I mean, this could be gone someday.
Someday I want to point to that and show my kids that your great-grandfather built that stadium.
Most every day I take the shoreway and I go by the stadium. And every day I go by it, I think to myself, my dad played there.
Craig Adams is the son of Chet Adams.
He got a chance to play pro football in his hometown.
A star defensive tackle, Chet Adams played for the Cleveland Rams, Green Bay Packers, and the original Browns.
More than 60,000 football fans crowded into Cleveland Stadium. They played the Miami Seahawks.
First game, Miami Seahawks. No one would know that.
Final score 44-0 for the Browns.
Chet Adams was born, raised, and is now buried in Cleveland. He won a lawsuit over the Rams, so he would not have to leave Cleveland for Los Angeles.
To me, and I think to my dad too, it's more than just a sports team. It's part of the community.
The straw that broke the camel's back possibly was the knowledge that the All-American Football Conference would be formed and there would be a Cleveland Browns team.
According to Don Smith, public relations for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, it was the Browns who drove the Rams out west.
The Cleveland Browns in the All-American Football Conference played 4 years, won 4 championships, won 52 games, lost 4, and tied 3.
Where do you think the stadium started to become a legacy?
Otto Graham, Marion Motley, Lou Groza, Donnie LaValle, Bill Willis. That group also established themselves as legend, and by the time they had stopped playing, the Browns were really one of the established teams in pro football.
There's a lot of members in that Cleveland Stadium.
Marion Motley became a Hall of Fame running back on the grass of the stadium, invented the draw play on it with quarterback Otto Graham.
Well, Otto got caught and didn't have nowhere to throw it. And I was standing there one day, and boy, he gave me that ball, and I took that dog pond out there. It wasn't a dog pond then, but I used to look up there and them guys be fighting. I said, oh, what the heck are they doing?
The guys get to fighting up there, and I mean the whole stand be fighting.
Did you ever think the Browns would leave this town?
No way I would have ever thought that the Browns would leave here.
What one piece in this stadium would you like to keep?
My dad's old season ticket seats right up there. He used to take me down to these games all the time and tell me, this is, your grandfather built this place. One of the things we would probably try to add would be a typical seat. The memory of him taking me to my first Browns game. I mean, I'll never forget that. I have no idea who they played. I have no idea who won. But I was 7 or 8 years old. For a few short hours, on a Sunday afternoon, all the attention of 80,000 people is focused on this field, and it does something. There's some psychic energy or something that occurs because you can feel it out there. And when the game's over and the people are gone, it disappears. It's gone like a wisp of smoke.
Man, don't worry about it. It'll be another team in here that.
When exactly did the barking begin here in these bleacher seats? Up next on Stadium Stories, how the Dog Pound was born. We'll be right back.
A final salute. A bittersweet farewell to a place affectionately called the Dog Pound. The unique bond between players and fans here is legendary. But to understand the Pound, who sits here and why they do what they do, you have to understand its beginning. The year was 1984. A brash young cornerback, number 29, Hanford Dixon, came up with the idea.
We had a good defense, but not a great defense. And we didn't have that great defensive line. And the thing originally was supposed to be for the defensive line. And we tried to get those guys going, something. I tried to motivate them. And I was thinking about, because, how a dog chased a cat. And I said, let's call the defensive line the dog and the quarterback the cat. And I started barking at those guys.
The players started barking, and so did the fans. In fact, some even began dressing like dogs, especially in the section known as the bleachers.
Well, it reminded me of like when we play in Denver. Denver have certain sections that are so close to the field, and that really irritated me. And the Dog Pound is just so close to the opposing team, and what better place than right there in those bleachers than to be the Dog Pound.
What followed was a sports love affair unlike our city has ever seen. A mutual admiration society between a group of zany fans and a collection of zealous on-field warriors. It was a perfect combination.
Well, just imagine coming into here, you got 80,000 plus fans just screaming at you. And here you are, just imagine that you're a quarterback on an opposing team and you're having to face this Dog Pound, and you got these guys, and you never know. Now, you may have some of them throwing snowballs or something at you.
A dog biscuits.
A dog biscuits at you, and they're screaming and they're hollering at you, and the receivers can't hear you, your running backs can't hear you. Just imagine how unfortunate that would be for you.
When you look out there now and you think about, all the good times, what are some of the things that kind of go through your mind?
Well, I tell you what, just, the memory, when I make a big play, just going over there, just looking at that pound, I used to point at like one particular guy. There was one guy, he had this dog mask on and he had this big bone. He always wore the number 29.
This is the things I usually wear at the game. My number 29 jersey.
Vince Irwin is known as D-Dog.
The dog bone. This is a genuine rawhide dog bone. This is my dog mask, which is actually the second one I have.
He's been sitting in the Pound, well, since the very beginning. What does it mean to be a member of the Dog Pound? Why do you do it?
I do it because, when I first started, I work in a factory, and a lot of us are blue-collar workers. And the guys in front, we're all in our section, Section 61, we're all, we're just like an intense crew of guys
that we're just really got into being cheerleaders, more or less. We know we don't have cheerleaders. We don't need cheerleaders because we have the dog pound and we have the whole stadium now.
Just the crazy bunch of guys.
For 11 years, the barks were loud and the bites were mighty. The dog pound was Cleveland's pride and an opponent's nightmare. But now the cheers are silent.
It hurts. You know, we've been punched in the gut now. I think I'm going to retire my stuff. You know, it sort of pains me to think that, but I think I'm going to retire it. Of course, I'm going to miss football.
And so will this once proud gridiron icon. Like all of us, the godfather of the dog pound must now rely on memories. The faint sounds of glory days, gone, but not forgotten.
It's just a sad, sad day. Brittany? Yeah, Brittany Coy would be good. I feel like a celebrity. Yeah, hey, you are.
For Channel 8's Dick Goddard, the day doesn't start sad. After all, the sun is shining, and when you're a meteorologist, that's always good news.
Thanks for coming.
For 25 years, he's been a season ticket holder with the Browns.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
And not once in all those years has he ever sat in his own seats. You see, when the team hits the field, Goddard hits the roof. And from a box atop the stadium, he stops watching cold fronts and passing storms and turns his attention to front lines and passes, kicks, yards, blocks, and punts, and any other game stat you can think of. Dick Goddard is the statistician.
Frank Lever came to our station in the mid-60s to do the football games of the Browns when local stations did the games, and Frank soon found out that I was a football nut and said, hey, would you like to do stats for the Browns? And I said, let me think about it. And I did for 2 seconds, and I said, oh, great.
Well, chances are, if you've listened to the play-by-play on radio, you've heard the end product of Dick's work.
Lost at 7 on the play.
He's always glib, he's always funny, and that's why Northeast Ohio loves Dick Goddard, because the way he is on the air is the way he is off.
Is he a good statistician?
Yes, he's very good. He is rarely wrong.
Once again, at Cleveland, Hopkins Airport, it was cloudy and 32 degrees.
But even off the air, he doesn't completely forget the weather. Prior to kickoff, he delivers the game forecast to other broadcast media.
Here's the rumor.
No need for an extended prediction here. It's the last game. The game goes by in a blur of stats. Stats that have gone on to be great memories of players who made some stats of their own. Like the first time he saw player Jim Brown.
Brown took off. I don't think any of the Pittsburgh Steelers touched him, and I remember the two defensive backs sort of looking at each other saying, what was that? And that was Jim Brown.
Dick says there's no reason to be sad about today. The man who's made a career out of going out on a limb makes another forecast.
I know a lot of the football owners are greedy and stupid, but I can't believe they're so stupid they wouldn't have a team in Cleveland. So it's just a matter of when and where.
Do you think you'll continue doing stats if there's another team?
Oh, they ask me. That'd be nice. Maybe I'll do the broadcast. I'll audition with these.
You'd like to do that?
I always thought growing up, that'd be great to be able to broadcast sports. But this is as close as I'll ever get.
Don't be so sure. Late in the third quarter, Dick Goddard got his wish.
Okay, the Bengals on their own 21. Jeff Blake, the East Carolina Pirate, under center. And we've got a couple split outs, and Blake drops back. He's Harris, but he gets the ball off. A nice gain over there. It is
which only goes to show you, even at the last, there can be firsts.
And it looks like we have a gain there of about, what would you say, Casey, about 5 yards.
As the doors close on the Browns locker room for what could be the last time, our next stadium story takes you deep inside this facility as the football players say their goodbyes. We'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Telich, and that's Danny Coughlin. Don't go anywhere. The Sunday Sports Page is up next, following Stadium Stories.
We've got the latest from the last game at the stadium, plus an unforgettable look back at the best of the Cleveland Browns. Don't touch that dial. The Sunday Sports Page is on deck.
For Browns punter Tom Tupa, today was a family affair. The native of Brecksville asked his big brother Mark to record a keepsake.
Now all your kids are going to get an opportunity to at least see what Uncle Tom did because you're taking video of this game?
He's got a lot of memories here before even playing for the Browns. You know, twice he came down here, competed, you know, in punt, pass, and kick. I can remember he was a little kid, always signing cards there like that. Tommy Tooth by NFL, then Cleveland Browns in parentheses. So I know it's going to be tough on him having to pick up and move.
Look at the faces, laughing at the 26-10 lead. 1 minute encouraging the fans to give it their all. The next minute, realizing the end was near. Look closely at the great Jim Brown. You can see the tear that couldn't be held back.
And I was the first one in here because I didn't know what was going to happen out there. So it was great, though. And one thing I do want to tell the fan is we just like the kids in the divorce. We don't have anything to do with this. We just have to do what our boss man tells us to do.
Steve, thanks for being a Cleveland Brown, all right? Thank you, man.
Tell me why you're coming to the dog pound.
Great fans, man. Great fans. Love all of them.
One of the few people are going to miss.
Tell me how heartfelt this is for you.
Oh, it's deep. I've only been here 3 years, and it's tough.
Yeah, we love you. In the locker room, it was difficult trying to get to your clothes.
We tell the fans, you know, to get something positive out of this by getting a win.
Equipment manager Ed Carroll never saw so many media people.
And this is the most people we've ever had in here, even after playoff games. I've never seen this many, you know, reporters, media people, ever.
I felt our fans were great today, in particular. They've been great all season. I just wanted to show my support for them.
JB.
How long have you been waiting for
Legacy, all year. Well, actually 2 years. I thought about it last year. I asked him last year about it.
Watch yourself coming through.
Happily for us, we Clevelanders are a mirror image of many of our glorious Browns teams of days gone by. It is that same dogged determination of you, the fans, that has turned the heads of the NFL, Congress, and the entire country, so that the last chapter in this sad story has yet to be written. In fact, we may have new stadium stories to tell, starring the new Cleveland Browns.